We do have to throw some caveats into here. Because there are some issues that sort of complicate this story a little bit. The first is that when you're talking about very young people, socioeconomic status is very difficult to measure. This is a group, obviously, that is young. Many of them are in school. They haven't entered the workforce, or they're just entering the workforce. So measuring income and education is a tricky issue. And frankly, we don't know what this group is going to look like as they age and enter the workforce. We have sort of clearly demonstrated that this is a young person's game, and young people are most definitely being brought in to the debate using these new tools. But we don't know the extent to which this is going to fundamentally alter the socioeconomic character of the online political debate. And it's certainly possible that these young activists are simply going to become the elites of the future. And so we need to give this some more time before we make any sort of definitive statements about what this group will look like moving forward. The other thing to point out here is that this particular survey was conducted at a very specific time in American politics. And obviously there was a lot going on in August of 2008 in terms of the economy, in terms of the election, in terms of who the candidates were, and sort of the nature of the change election in an environment where people were sort of historically dissatisfied with the way the country was going. So it will be interesting to see the extent to which the trends that we found in 2008 will translate to 2010, 2012, 2016, and how things progress as we move forward into hopefully less tumultuous political times. With that said, I'm gonna wrap up on this final chart, and again, this is a busy chart, but I think it's really sort of crucial to understanding the nature of what's going on with engagement using these new online tools. So what this shows, the blue bar here basically represents people who are members of this online political participatory class. So these are the people who post their own comments, post their own material online related to civic or social issues. The gray bar represents people who go online but don't engage in these activities. And the green bar represents people who are not online at all. And what these show are each of those groups, their participation in different online and offline civic and political activities. And to give you the quick synopsis, when we look at this online participatory class, not only are they very active online, they're far more likely than all of these other groups to engage in both online and offline activism, whether that's they're more likely to be a member of a civic or political group, they're more likely to donate money, they're more likely to sign petitions, they're more likely to contact government officials. And this chart is important for a couple reasons. And the first reason is that you hear a lot of sort of skeptics of this type of engagement, my co-authors included actually, sort of make the argument that this isn't real engagement. And I certainly wouldn't. You can go to Barack Obama's fan page, and you can certainly see a lot of comments there that don't necessarily rise to a relatively high level of discourse. With that said, though, what this really shows is that the people who are involved in these activities are not just going online for the sake of going online because it's something fun to do. They're really engaged in the issues, and they're really engaged in the issues beyond just commenting about them online and beyond the online debate. And this is actually very much in line with research that we've done in other areas, in the sense that when people get a taste of really being able to engage in a meaningful sense online, the ability to join online communities, join groups that are affiliated around their interests, and really interact with those groups in a meaningful way, it really drives a lot of their behavior and really sort of stimulates them to engage in other areas of those issues as well. The other reason why this is important, obviously, is that if there's folks here who work for nonprofit groups, who work for government, these are the people who are really going to drive your issue, drive your mission, drive the sort of the broader debate around these issues. And to the extent that you can really reach these folks and engage with them in a meaningful way, that sort of engagement can really spill over into a lot of other areas that both online and offline. So just to sort of wrap up with a few kind of brief recommendations for people who are interested in this topic and sort of wondering how to what this all means. The first is that obviously access and participation matter. And I say access because obviously not everyone is online, and I say participation because not everyone loves their technology. I think there's a lot of people in this room who would just as soon chuck their BlackBerry out the window and never have to be bothered at 8 o'clock at night while they're trying to have dinner with their family while they're sitting around the dinner table. So those issues still do matter, and this should not be construed as abandon all other efforts and move completely online, but you need to find out where your community lives and whether that community is an online community, an offline community, or both. Engaging with that community in a meaningful way is really key. The second thing that I would point out is, as you're thinking about how do I bring these tools into my own organization, or how do I use these in my own sort of daily life, is don't be afraid to start small. And for all the Twitter and Facebook and all the cool stuff that's out there, when you look at the way people are using the things that people are using to communicate, good old-fashioned email is still the most used medium for this these sorts of interactions. So just nailing email can be really huge, and you shouldn't be afraid to start small and not be afraid to fail. But I mean, I think the real sort of key point to this is that this all boils down to whether you're talking about online engagement or offline engagement, is having a genuine voice and engaging your community in a meaningful way. And I think when we look at the lack of involvement in sort of more traditional forms of online outreach that we see being sort of changing when we look at this more participatory medium, a lot of that is the fact that people genuinely feel like they have a voice and that someone is listening to them and that someone is taking them seriously, whether it's their government official or just the local blogger that's interested in the issues that they're interested in, and can interact with them in a meaningful way. And for people who are who may be marginalized, who may not feel like traditional channels of outreach are giving them a voice, the ability to interact in this way can really be something powerful. And people have something to offer, even if they, maybe they're not a member of your organization, they're not part of your, sort of inner circle, but, to the extent that, you treat them as, legitimate voices with something to offer you, they can really return the favor. And, that I think, even beyond the, sort of the changing demographics of this type of action, really offers some opportunities for real change and real engagement with people in a way that hasn't been seen before.